Hi, I'm Daniel, I'm a sleep physician, and if you want to sleep amazing, this channel is for you. There are conditions out there such as inflammatory bowel disease that just kind of comes and goes. It's unpredictable. Insomnia can feel like that, but it isn't. It is a product of your thoughts and your habits, which you can work on to a point when you're never worried about a flare-up. Hey there, hope you're doing really well and welcome to episode 299, in which we'll talk about how insomnia does not have a life of its own. It's been something I think about lately, particularly this question from Ed that I talked about yesterday really made me think about this, insomnia having a life of its own type situation. I very often hear people tell me that they're maybe doing a little bit better, but what if the insomnia comes back? What if it resurfaces? What if there's another? What if it comes back? Is kind of the essential fear there. And I think it's super important to understand insomnia so that you don't actually have to worry about that anymore. And I'm going to repeat some of the things I talk about really often, and then we're going to see how they apply to this insomnia having a life of its own type fear. Okay, so insomnia really happens when your brain, that part of your brain that is there to keep you safe, to be precise, has identified the loss of sleep as a threat. That part of your brain that's there to keep you safe is you're not sleeping, you got to do something about this, you got to figure out what's happening, you got to do things to make it, to sleep more. Then you try things, they don't quote unquote work, they actually just make you more worried. You become more inclined to try more things. They don't work either. You become more worried, and that's when we have insomnia, right? Now, that is very different from inflammatory bowel disease, which I'm using today for an example, which is ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, which are these you have this low level like chronic inflammation in your guts, and sometimes it can go like months, years without anything happening, and then suddenly you can have like fever and diarrhea and blood in your stool and things like that, which just shows that now the inflammation is active, and there is no way to predict when you're going to have a flare up of your IBD. You just have to be on this kind of maintenance dose maybe of steroids or something like that, and then when you have a flare up, you're maybe admitted, you get high doses of steroids and supportive care, and then and then you go back home, etc. And in that situation there's no predictability, no control, and justifiably you can be very worried that the IBD is going to flare up again. Insomnia is not like that at all. Insomnia is a product of the fear of losing sleep, your thought patterns, your habits, such as trying to catch up on sleep and trying to get as much sleep as you can, etc. That's what causes insomnia. So when someone says, I'm really afraid that the insomnia is going to come back, what they're really saying is, I'm afraid that I'm again going to have these thought patterns and these habits that are making me sleepless. And that's a very important distinction, because when it comes to IBD, you truly have no control. It just happens. But with insomnia, it is not just coming out of the blue. Insomnia is a product of how you think and how you behave and act and your habits, which means that you never have to fear it just coming back out of the blue. As long as you do the work, which is all the things I talk about here, meaning you educate yourself about insomnia, which you can do on this channel. You understand why it happens, which we already talked about here, but you can go in more depth. And you continue to not react when you're sleeping little. Like you continue not to, try to get as much sleep as possible, sleep in, take naps, go to bed earlier, try melatonin, try supplements, try this and that. You continue to just get up, do your thing, shift attention away from sleep. And by doing that, you will not have flare-ups. You will have an occasional sleepless night, which we all have. You may have a stretch of them, but you will never again have that fear of what if the insomnia comes back, as if it had a life of its own, which it doesn't. So that is like the message I really want to convey to you. Insomnia does not have a life of its own. It's a product of things that you can not necessarily control. We can't control what we think and how we feel, but you can work on your thought process, your beliefs, and your habits to a point where, again, it kind of sleeplessness becomes a non-issue in the long term. So hope this helps, and much more to come as this is kind of new thought. Like I'm not doing a great job, I feel, of expressing this, but as I continue to interact with people like yourself, I will get better at it. But I hope this really helped, and if you have any questions, then please leave a comment here or send me an email, daniel@insomniainsight.co, and I'll be back real soon. Until then, bye-bye.